That's mine! Don't even try! I'll never... I'll never go back!
Hello everyone, my name is Shalindra, and today I'm gonna talk about my thoughts on Genshin Impact after playing for 6 months. As you can see, Amber joined my party on the 11th of September last year. In this video, I want to talk about my thoughts on Genshin Impact. I come from World of Warcraft, where I did okayish high Mythic Plus and Mythic raiding, with a fairly high time and commitment level. I would probably compare the two games when it comes to my thoughts about Genshin, as I haven't played that many games. Now that that's said, let's jump straight into the video. The storyline in Genshin is amazing. The lore, the depth to it, the theories around current and future quests just adds to this. The characters in the game are very well written. They're incredibly diverse with their own personalities, unique designs, and character development. One of my favorite quest lines is the Sumeru Archon quest, where we get to learn more about Scaramouche, a character with a very interesting backstory and very good character development. On top of having a good storyline so far, the Genshin story is not done yet, and we still have at least 2 more nations to go through, which means that even though we're slowly wrapping up the Fontaine story, we have a lot to look forward to in the future. Adding to the story are also the amazing cutscenes, which are very well made and entertaining to watch. Let's just say I watched some of them multiple times after finishing the story. One of my favorite things is when they add interactions with characters after finishing quests. One of my favorite examples is after Lantern Rite this year, where we got to meet Shao outside of Pervasi's temple. It just adds a little extra to the story between the characters. Wishing is a big part of Genshin Impact. At start, the wishing system can be a little difficult to understand. There's a lot of different currencies to keep track of, and it can feel overwhelming. After playing for 6 months, I feel that this is not an issue anymore. Sometimes I do feel that we lack wishes, or I do count on the amount of wishes we can get for a patch from commissions, events, abyss, live stream, and maintenance, etc. And I realize that we're getting less than what I thought. With Welkin Win and paid battle pass, on the other hand, I feel that I get an okay amount of wishes per patch. I'm not saying that you should buy any of these, but it does help to add to the monthly Primogem count. Also, the best part is to see that star turn golden. If you want to know more about the wishing system and how it works, feel free to check out my video where I explain in depth how pity works for each and every banner. When I started playing, I was looking for something that wouldn't take up too much time. As I said at the start of the video, I came from World of Warcraft, a game with a never-ending grind, especially since I wanted to play on a fairly high level. During my time in WoW, I achieved Cutting Edge twice, which is one of the highest PvE achievements in the game. WoW for me became this huge grind where I felt that any minute of not actively playing meant missing out. In Genshin, I feel that as long as I do my daily commissions and spend my resin, which normally takes about 30 minutes of game time, I don't really miss out on anything. This made Genshin the exact game I was looking for. Sometimes I do wish that we had more resin, but I also see that if we could grind out the game without being resin capped, I would probably run out of things to do way too fast. You use resin for everything in this game: character ascension materials, talent level up materials, weapon ascension materials, and weekly bosses. And I think that having a little more resin, or at least a way to store resin, would be a nice addition to the game. Genshin Impact is a game where resource management is very important. To build characters, you have to run around in the world and collect resources. Coming from a grindy game, I don't really mind, but I can see it being very time consuming and that it doesn't appeal to some people. This means planning is important. I love planning, and I plan everything from how to best gear my characters, the most efficient way to do it, which domains I should do, and which days to spend my resin on weapon or character materials instead of artifacts. I find a lot of joy in this, but I can see how it might scare some people away. It's a lot of different materials just to level 1 character to level 90 with talents, weapons, and artifacts. It can easily get overwhelming. That's why I like to make spreadsheets and plan how to spend my resources to minimize the amount of time I spend on potentially wasting time and resources. On the other hand, the grinding also gives me the opportunity to play for hours if I want to, or just to play for 30 minutes if I want that. In World of Warcraft, endgame content is a big part of the game. At the moment, it's actually more of a sprint to reach max level. This means that I can see the issue some people have with Genshin's endgame content feeling a bit lackluster. I can understand why people that have played since the start want more endgame content to keep the game more interesting. Genshin only have one type of endgame content, and that is Spiral Abyss. But for someone that goes in and clears first try every time, I can see it getting boring. For me, on the other hand, that haven't cleared floor 12 yet, the lack of endgame content doesn't really bother me. After clearing floor 12, however, we will see how I feel about it. The events in Genshin are generally good, with my favorites so far being combat events. In many of them, we get to test out different characters and also trial characters that I didn't have on my account. This gives me the opportunity to try out many different characters and find new characters to wish for. The main events come with quest lines that in most cases are really good. It's also a good source of primo gems as an added bonus to the fun. Sadly, the events are only there for a limited time, and if you miss out on them, you don't only miss out on primo gems and quests, etc., but you also miss out on the main reward, which alternates between a free 4-star character and a free 4-star weapon. This creates a fear of missing out, which I don't really like, but I also understand they do this to make players come back to the game regularly. If you did miss out on events in the past, most of them are out as playthroughs on YouTube. This means that you can still get to experience the events, even though the rewards are gone. Co-op is probably my least favorite thing about Genshin. I come from an online multiplayer game and I am used to always playing with people. I mostly play with my friend, but when you join another person's world, you can't interact with objects there. The same goes for people joining your world. They won't be able to interact with chests or NPCs. This makes exploration with friends very restrictive. Let's say I was to join a person's world and we explore Dragonspine together. Everything we do in Dragonspine is counted towards that person's exploration, and when I go back to my own world, I will have to redo everything. This makes Genshin's co-op experience disappointing to me. What me and my friend have found out that works well is doing open world farming, domains, world bosses, and weekly bosses together. This way of playing together is still very restrictive, but at least we have the possibility to do co-op, and I will take that over playing 100% solo any day. I just wish it was a little less restrictive. My biggest wish at the moment is a Spiral Abyss kind of thing, but the opportunity to play in co-op. So after talking about this, I just want to wrap this up with a conclusion. And I would say that considering it's possible to play the game completely for free, it is an amazing game. My first month of playing, I was completely free to play, but I quickly realized the benefit of at least Welkin Moon. Welkin Moon gives you 300 Genesis crystals when you buy it, and 90 Primogems every day you log in for 30 days. Keep in mind that you need to actually log into the game to get the Primogems, and if you miss a day, you miss the Primogems. I bought my first Battle Pass 2 months into playing because I knew this was a game I would continue to play. But even if you don't want to pay, you get so much from just playing. Everything from a great story to even better character stories and character developments. The combat is engaging even after playing every day for 6 months, and even though I run through the world so many times, I always find it so relaxing to explore this big open world. But the game might not be for everyone. If you don't like gacha games in general, you don't like the resin limiting the number of things you can do every day, you want competitive endgame content, or you don't have the time or will to grind the open world resources necessary to build your characters, this game might not be for you. Is now a good time to start playing Genshin Impact? My personal opinion, I would say yes. As a fairly new player that has been playing every day for 6 months, I am still not out of content to do. I finished all the main story quests, and I'm almost done with exploration in every zone except for Fontaine and Chenyu Vale. And this is me playing for about 4 hours per day on average, spending my time with questing, open world farming, exploration, events, and dailies. And I'm still not done. I still find quests, and I still find chests all around the world. Even though I've 100% of most of the zones, I still have a lot of things I can do. The amount of wishes you get in the beginning, even as free to play, is enough to get you started. When I started playing, I got around 80 wishes in 20 days, but eventually you will run out of content. And I am feeling this with only 2 zones left to explore and slowly wrapping up all the quests. I am a little scared for running out of content. This means that the main source of primal gems to wish for characters come from logging in daily and doing events. And the events are really fun, but missing out on them means missing out on a lot of free primal gems and rewards, which can feel really bad in some cases. For example, I missed out on the Albedo event, which is really sad as he is one of my favorite characters. Luckily, many of these events can be found as playthroughs on YouTube, so even if you did miss out on them, you can at least watch clips and cutscenes there. And even if you do miss out sometimes, or you don't have time to play every day, the game in itself is so good with so many interesting elements that it's worth to try. And the good thing with a game like Genshin is that it is a single player game, which means that there's no leaderboard, there's no competition, and you can play in the exact tempo that you want. And there's a lot of content to do, a lot of characters to get to know, and an incredible storyline to play through. The story is also not done yet, so even if you grind out the game and run out of content, you have at least 2 more years of story coming. Anyways, thank you all for watching and supporting. I hope you have a nice day, and I will see you all in the next video.